What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be having a nice sit-down session with a dear friend of mine and actually my first personal training client, Kyle Babb.
Hello, beautiful people. How are you?
Yeah, guys. So in this series, guys, I'm going around interviewing health and wellness professionals in Barbados, as well as people who are just, interested in workout and workout culture. Now, Kyle has been very special because, as I mentioned, he is my first in-person client, and what an amazing client he has been. So we're just going to sit down, have a quick chat about the experience for him, his thoughts around health and wellness, and his thoughts around the up-and-coming movement which is happening in Barbados. So, Kyle, thank you so much for taking your time out to come on this pod.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And just to be clear, I'm not the health and wellness professional. I fall into the second category. Yeah, I'm just somebody who's interested in it, overall.
Yeah, so I guess that's a pretty good place to start, right? So you're very active. That was one thing that I felt like could really help with your results and that type of stuff, and I took into mind when I was designing your program. So just kind of tell the people a little bit about, Kyle, because I think everyone that's interactive with you probably knows the other side. Kyle, by the way, is an amazing photographer.
That is true.
Check out his Instagram. Links and everything are going to be down in the description below. But tell the people outside of that, like what is it that Kyle really loves to do,
When I think about me as a person, I just think of... Actually, funny enough, it's only recently that I really accepted the fact that I am an active person. And I've always grown up around the water, and I've spent summers water skiing or, just doing something that was outdoors. And for me, I would say my passions lie within the ocean. So lately I've been doing a lot of scuba diving and just a lot of things that I guess wouldn't come as traditional exercise. Like even beach hit, I would say, is something that's kind of different. But now I am really kind of getting into like the pumping iron kind of phase of my life. So that's where I've landed, how we've landed here.
You get you. So 8 weeks now or so we've been working together. What was it that really motivated you to get started in the beginning? Because we had some small conversations, but then I remember there was like one period where you were like, let's go. Like what was that gave you that push to like really put your foot on the gas?
Summer was approaching and vanity. I can't even lie. But overall, I think how I like to approach life, I'm a creative person, right? So I'm not that very regimented person that's going to show up for something every single day. Even because I'm self-employed, I don't have to show up to work every day. So I don't really have that much structure, right? So I would say it's like a mixture of needing structure and also just like vanity. Who doesn't want to feel good? Who doesn't want to look good as well? But now that I've started, I think my focus has shifted a little bit into just making sure that holistically I feel well. And then if I look well on the outside for myself, then that's a great byproduct as well.
Yeah, I totally understand. And you mentioned its structure. So how important has it been now to have, something solid and consistent within your life? Like, have you seen any changes? Like, what's been the difference for you?
It has been a commitment, to be honest. Part of the reason why I think I started with you two is that I knew that I would have to commit at least 3 hours out of the gym days to actually make it here. And that's because, I have to factor in transit time and all of that. And honestly, I feel like my life, at least I have metrics by which I could measure my life by. Is like, okay, cool, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or like let's say Tuesday or whatever, I know that I have to show up in the gym. And then once I have that commitment, then I've started to sort of structure my life around that. So I would like to say I'm a bit more organized, but I guess if I take a really balanced look at my life overall, it's just that I really have this one thing that I feel driven by and motivated by, and I've stayed focused on it.
Amazing. And then I guess to follow up from that, because for a lot of people, being active is one thing, but really coming into the gym, doing resistance training can be quite daunting. I know that one thing you mentioned to me was that you really wanted someone that could help you to like not make potentially like beginner mistakes and that type of stuff. So now that you have really gotten into it, what would you say is the difference in your experience between what you thought it would have been and what you actually have experienced now that you are, I would say, like progressing to a point of being quite comfortable maneuvering the
Putting up
spaces
plates.
putting up plates, exactly.
So I've had a little bit of experience with the gym before, and I think why I was never really interested in it is because I like to do something active where I feel like I'm learning a skill. So for like 5 years, I was going to swimming at a pool, and I felt like I was learning a skill where I could see improvements in that, right? And I water ski, so there's a skill in that. Years ago, I used to do a little bit of gymnastics, so there's a skill in that, but it's still health focused and wellness driven. And now I think, especially given your background as a footballer, you've been able to take the movements that we do in the gym and translate it into, okay, this is going to help with just overall stability. I think it's helped me to reframe how I view the gym. It's not just coming in here and pumping iron because you want to look jacked.
Functional
right?
fitness.
It's functional fitness, and
Right.
that's something that I think is more so suited to my life.
Okay, perfect. In terms of the like workout landscape here in Barbados, like, do you feel? Because I feel like I'm seeing like a little bit of a uprising. I don't know if it's because like Kaduma is around the corner, so everyone's trying to get fit. I don't know if it's something a little bit more long term. I know that there's a lot of like rumblings in for instance like North America and stuff in terms of like movements when it comes to
Running
fitness.
clubs and-
Yeah, exactly. Are you feeling the same? And like, what do you think is like the future of fitness, if you want to call it, as someone who's just kind of jumped into this field?
I mean, that's a real big thing for me to speak on. But
Your opinion.
I think what I can say is that a lot of different I think non-traditional ways of fitness have kind of come into my atmosphere, my stratosphere, sorry. And so I guess there's been a bit more. But what I know for sure is that I'm seeing a lot of people that I know just starting run clubs in Barbados, which 5 years ago, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
I'm seeing people that are into kind of like motocross biking, and they're doing bike trails, and even the bar race, which seems to be a very trendy thing, and it seems quite interesting. The Ninja Warrior thing that people do. So I think that there's space being carved out in Barbados for overall fitness, and there are some niches being formed just
Right.
outside of pumping iron and being a bodybuilder.
Right.
And overall, for me, I think it's quite cool because the biggest thing for me with wellness is that I think it really drives community, right?
Yes.
And if I don't feel like I find community in pumping iron and going on stage and,
Right.
then for me personally, I'm not sure I would feel motivated to stay fit or to stay in the gym. And now that I'm seeing more spaces being carved out, I think that's why my interest has kind of, like, going back to your former
Interesting.
question about why I kind of pulled the trigger on it too, is like, well, you're kind of seeing a lot of people getting into these spaces, and I like community.
Yeah.
So why not get in on it too?
Right. No, amazing. Like, one thing you just mentioned there was like goals, right? So then I guess the follow-up question I want to ask you, now that you've kind of taken this step, and I would say that you're very much like, functional. Do you have any like big goals? I know people have these like big fitness goals. Are you a goals person in general? And like, if so, like, do you have any big goals around like your fitness, health and wellness, that type of stuff?
This is gonna sound really, really sort of out there and very crazy artist type of stereotype, but I just go based on feeling. And for me, my goals are always based around feeling. So I want to feel better. I want to feel like I have more energy. And if it results in me sort of looking better or gaining more muscle or pushing more weight, then sure. Like, it's funny because, during some of our sessions, you would say, oh yeah, that's a PR, right? And it feels good. It feels good to know that you're kind of pushing past what you were formerly. But in terms of me personally, I show up with no expectations. And I just know that when I show up to some place, I really want to just give my all. And then whatever comes with that, I can feel happy with.
Yes.
And that's my approach to life in general.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. I don't know if I have any more questions on the top of my mind. Is there anything that you wanted to, I don't know, say or ask or like put out there about like your personal experience, like working with me as well? Anything like that?
Yeah, this is where I start to plug you, right? Actually, I think I would like to ask you a question, though.
Go for it.
What's your experience been like with me as a trainer, and how has that experience evolved over the past? This is actually more than 2 months, you know.
Yeah.
It's been like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. How has that evolved?
So I would say to answer the first question, like how has the experience been? It's been a different level of accountability, right? So for a long time, I was like functionally training to be a footballer, right? I was, and even when I moved away from the mentality and the mindset of I'm doing this to try to become a professional athlete, I would say I was still like pretty consistent with the gym, but training someone else and just really showing the level of like detail that I honestly showed to you in terms of thinking about the way how I construct your program, how much I record all of your weights and all that type of stuff. It just added a different level of attention to detail to what I was doing with you that then also translated to what I was doing with myself. So I started holding myself to like a higher level because I'm like, okay, not only am I showing up for myself, I'm now showing up for my clients in a different kind of way. And the thought process and methodology that I used to apply to you really helped me even in terms of my commitment to myself and that type of stuff. How has it transformed over the time? I would say, yeah, just seeing your growth, understanding there's specific movements that you are, just a little bit better predisposed to. So how do I alter things to keep you engaged? Because I never want to get to the point where you feel disengaged, where you feel like something's too far for you or like something is mundane. So staying on top of that and like having the flexibility to move. But yeah, I would say one thing I feel like I've always tried to do is to keep that communication open in helping you to understand not just, okay, we're doing this workout, but like, why are we doing this workout? What's the progression of doing this workout? And like how you should feel throughout the whole process. So, and I think that working with you specifically, someone I have a little bit more rapport with, and honestly, like a very consistent client has been a massive plus in terms of like my ability to help you apply and for us to see results because
and just like
your
track it,
results
right?
have been amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Because I think it's interesting. So prior to this, our friendship, my view of you is just that same thing you said, that you train for football.
Right.
Life is kind of centered around football, and I actually found it very impressive when like I did my intake form and I put all my goals and all of that. I think one was like shoulder flexibility and
rehabbing your injury
and my wrist, because my wrist was injured. And just seeing how you took everything that I had said and incorporated it into the program. And then as I evolved, how you kind of shifted everything based on my needs and where I was at. And it was like, okay, cool. So he's listening and like, I'm not just showing up to a place where somebody sees me and they have a vision for me. And that's what they want me to do versus, what
our
you're doing.
cookie cutter vision.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is super important. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not super interested in getting jacked. I want to feel fit. I want to gain flexibility, which is something that a lot of people don't focus on, right? And so I've really just enjoyed that overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And so quickly, photographer, I feel like it would be remiss of me not to ask you like something about that. So I would say like, where are you right now in your photography career, if you want to call it that? And like, what's next for Kyle?
I'll answer the last question first. What's next for me? I can speak to Kyle as a person, right?
Go for it.
So this entire gym thing is just part of a wider effort of mine to just be better. And all I can promise is that I will try to show up for myself and improve upon what I did yesterday, right?
Right.
And then photographer Kyle. photography is my passion at heart, and I've just been finding my way back to that passion. I think speaking to the community that we mentioned earlier that is around wellness, I think that photography has a really beautiful way of just developing community as well, and that's what I'm finding my way back to in the process. You get to meet some incredible people that you would have never even imagined. You get to do some really cool things, and I think that's been my focus lately. So how that manifests for work, it is yet again just a byproduct. As I say, I move off of feeling, and as long as it feels like people are centered around what I do, then everything else can fall into place.
Amazing. And one closing statement for anyone who's on the fence about like hopping into gym, potentially getting a trainer, taking that next step. Like what would you? One closing statement, word of encouragement, anything like that. You would
Do I need to look at the camera?
You can.
This is my camera here.
Yeah.
There's no right time. I think I've gotten into that trap, and I think that was actually my issue first starting, feeling like I didn't have all my ducks in a row yet. And as daunting as it seems, or as difficult as it seems, just jump in. It is really that simple. I think something that you do incredibly is just meeting people where they're at. I couldn't even do, I think it was like 4 pull-ups. I know I could do 10, right?
3 sets of 10.
Right, 3 sets of 10,
of
right?
10.
So yeah, just pull the trigger and start where you are now. Don't idealize where you think you should be before starting. Just do it.
I love that. Okay, guys, that brings us to the end of our conversation. Kyle, thank you so much for coming on. Kudos to you for the amazing work that you're putting up. You've come so far, and I know that as long as you keep up this consistency, the goal of feeling good, I really like that you keep that central to everything, and then around that, like having the stability and that type of stuff, you know what I mean? All of those are added benefits. So yeah, guys, if you watched until this point, thank you so much for tuning in. As usual, go ahead, leave a like, leave a comment, leave us some feedback down below. Let us know your thoughts on these videos. And all of Kyle's information is going to be down below as well. So if you're looking for an amazing photo shoot, whatever you type, he's the man that you can hit up. Want to get started in the gym? I'm the guy for you. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Peace.
Watch this space for some abs.
For some abs on the way. Abs on the way. Abs loading.
Pending.
Okay. Good. Amazing. 18 minutes.